I recently put a water sample under the microscope and I found this interesting looking worm, and this worm had a strange little extension in the middle of its body. And what could that be? Hello and welcome, Microbehunter here again. Yes, water samples are quite interesting because they contain many different specimens and species. And today I'd like to dedicate this video to a worm which I found, a fairly large worm. It was around 1 centimeter in length. And when I looked at the worm, I found this interesting little extension on the side of its body and was kind of wondering, what could that be? Or what could this be? Well, let's have a look at the worm first. This is how it looks like, and you see that the head of the worm has this long tubular structure. It's called a proboscis. It's like the nose of the animal. Of course, it's not a nose, it's a tubular sucking organ with which it's able to suck in the food. And when I looked at the body of the worm, and let me fast forward a little bit here, otherwise we have to wait. Well, of course, there are many hair on the body, but look, just in a second or so, we're able to see this strange, funny little extension here right on the side of the worm. Here it is, okay? And what is that? Well, it is not that what it looks like. It is. So it is not a reproductive organ. Worms don't have that like we humans have. As a matter of fact, it's something I would say much more interesting and maybe crazy a little bit. And I would like to explain this a little bit today in the video. As a matter of fact, this is how I collected the microscope sample from the pond. I collected a little bit of sediment. I've already made videos before, and this is the place where I found this worm. Now, the worm has this little extension over here, and this is now the answer to the mystery, is a new head forming right in the middle of the body. As a matter of fact, it's a new proboscis, a new tubular sucking organ that's forming right in the middle of the worm. Why does it do that? Why is this happening? Well, because the worm will form a new head right in the middle of the body, and then when the head is finished, then the worm is going to separate and form two separate worms. So this is a form of asexual reproduction. The worm is able to fragment. It first grows a head in the middle of the body, in this case a new proboscis, a new nose-like sucking organ, and then when the head is finished, the worm divides into two, and then you've got two worms. So you see, I think that's much more fascinating than simply a reproductive organ. Well, you probably want to know the name of the worm. Here it is, Stylaria lacustris. It's a very common specimen in pond water, and it has this typical unique characteristic in that it has this long, extensible tube-like sucking organ with which it's able to hunt for food and then suck in the food. Well, here I want to give you a slightly better overview of how the worm looks like. There are many little hair, so-called the chetae, extending from the side of the worm. They are important for anchoring the worm inside the sediment so that it's able to move forward more easily. We can also see a very large and long intestine, and you can also see the peristaltic movement. That is the movement as the intestine pushes along the food in the worm. And here towards the end, this is where I was able to see this new proboscis forming, and so ultimately after a couple of days maybe they're going to be two different worms. Quite nice. Here we now see the worm moving forward. It kind of illustrates also that this long sucking organ that you see over here, the proboscis, is indeed the head of the worm. How did I figure out the name of the worm? Well, of course, I checked my identification book and I immediately found it in there as a drawing. And then you can, of course, always Google, or at least I Googled then the name, and then I could indeed confirm that this is the name of the worm here. Okay, so here a slightly more closer view of the digestive system of the worm. Annelid worms, like this one over here, they are segmented worms. So you can see that they're repeated body segments here. So in that sense, quite different from the nematode worms, which are actually also much smaller. And I think they're more interesting than the nematode worms because of its size. Their size, it's also more easily visible on how they're able to digest the food. So let's move on a little bit here. Here a close-up of the head of the proboscis. You can also see that there is a a little tube inside the proboscis where the food is able to travel directly to the digestive system here. So quite nice. Quite nice. I like those unique looking organisms here. Here again, this new nose basically forming in the middle of the organism. If you show this video to school students, of course, then they're immediately going to raise their hand and they're going to say, well, is this a, I don't know, a male reproductive structure? Male reproductive organs? No, it's not. It's something more interesting here. Okay, here now a different worm, where something similar is happening. The name of this worm is called Aelosoma, and I've also made several videos of this worm already. And look here towards the tail end, also you see a bulge where it becomes a little bit thicker. This is also a new head forming. And just compare the size of or the shape of this bulge in the middle of the body with the actual head of this worm. You're going to see it looks very similar. And because after some time, indeed, also this worm is going to divide into two parts, and then you've got two worms. I'm going to show you slightly more close up here. Here again, you can see the bulge here where it becomes a little bit wider, and then after some time it's going to separate. Why do I think this is so fascinating? Well, it's not that it's able to divide into two and so on. I know that those worms have a remarkable ability to regenerate, but what's more fascinating is a more philosophical question. Is this actually now one worm, or are these already two worms? Now, what is the concept of individuality? If a worm divides into two, are these then two different worms? And from what point onwards should you count them as two different worms? Is this now one worm, or is this already two worms? And where do you want to draw the line? You see, this concept of individuality as we know it for human beings cannot really be applied to those organisms here, which are able to regenerate on their own in such a remarkable way. I think that is one of the things that captivates me even more here, because of course know that worms are able to reproduce asexually is nothing unusual about that here, but the fact that the concept of individuality is so difficult to apply here is something that I'm a little bit more fascinated with. Okay, I think I'm just gonna leave it at that for today. Hope that you liked the video, and I encourage you, of course, to also go out hunting for a little bit some interesting water microorganisms. There's always something interesting to find to put under your microscope. In any case, for today that's it. Happy microbe hunting as always, and see you around next time. Bye bye.